Hi, welcome back to My Life with Plants. I'm Newman. We're going to continue this evaluation of orchids in this climate here, which is tropical. We've been having a lot of downpours now. The temperature is 32 degrees. It's 32, but it doesn't feel like 32. It feels like 28. Which is about 87 Fahrenheit at the moment. It feels much cooler because we've had plenty of rain, and it cools things down. It's kind of been a cool air mass that's been blowing from the South Pacific. So, as you know, that we've been having temperatures daily of almost 100 Fahrenheit. I've had a lot of fans blowing in here, 3 fans actually, but not blasting, they're just gentle breeze blowing through. We've had another casualty, Sigma Totalix radicans, which is related to oncidiums. That's not a surprise at all. I did not overwater this. It is in a very light mix there of sphagnum moss in a tiny pot, so when it gets watered it dries right out again. But however, I did not put up with the high temperatures. This one would be better off mounted and possibly hung under trees, because that is the only place that's cool enough for them to survive. They cannot survive up here. I was surprised because Danema polybourbon has survived, and it has actually kept a lot of its growth on. It should start resuming some of its growth that it put out in about June. May and June it started to push out a lot of growth, and then it had to stop because of the heat. Dendrobium nobiles are very hardy, and I've just shown how hardy they are, putting up with that 100 Fahrenheit. And this particular area here, you can see the eaves come in. It's about half a meter. No, it's a meter. It's about a meter in underneath some eaves. There's a lot of airflow because it's up high. But being tropical here, the air is as hot as anything. It's like a blow dryer. It's not refreshing. And the humidity is very high. So all summer long it's super high. Winter is absolute opposite. It goes right down to 30%. This Dendrobium nobile that I picked up for only $5 because it had all the flowers that finished on it. It has these new growths, so it's doing really well. Good. This other one here, I think it's Saohime Sayuri. It's a Dendrobium nobile type. It's very tough. You can put it in trees here in Japan, even in my area. With the dry winters, 30% humidity, and sparse rain, like little drizzle of rain, maybe once a month, or a couple of times a month at most. And even if it rains a little more than that, if it was like half an hour of drizzly rain, it would just dry straight up. It's hard to explain, but low humidity and high sunlight, high intensity sunlight in the winter, even if it goes down to -8, which is 17 Fahrenheit, it just dries straight up. This Nexillaria variabilis has survived. doing much better than last year, although it keeps getting beaten up. It's the heat. Mixillaria attenuata, no, Mixillaria tenuifolia, sorry, is still healthy and has nice plump bulbs, which is better than last year. It was planted just in straight bark, and it was exposed to much more sun, where it was shriveling, but it wouldn't grow at all during the summer. Nothing, didn't get anything. That's because it's not hanging underneath trees. Okay, trees just prevent the temperature from getting out of hand, right? So for example, if it's 100 over 100 Fahrenheit, 105 underneath the tree will be about 90 Fahrenheit. It won't cross over that because they give off so much humidity, and they also trap a lot of the heat inside, take it in, which gets rid of the heat. So it does have these new growths coming off that grew and somewhat slowed right down, but they should resume growing again during these last 2 months of September and October. We've seen this giant jumbo form Cattleya that I repotted, so it's doing well. We've been having the rain, so it's been getting a bit on it, not a lot. It'll just dry straight up again because of the pumice in the bark in there. This is Dendrobium speciosum excrescilla, which has that new growth there. They're tough and hardy, so even if they get a little bit too much water, they can deal with it. If you don't know lake casts, you can water them like a coleogeny. Water, 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 water. You don't need to let the medium dry out. Not when they're in full growth like that. Once the bulb has started to shoot out roots and mature, and then it goes into winter, you just cut the water down. They're pretty easy actually. This one is this Cattleya, mini Cattleya, little Toshie Soliel it's gonna be fine. You can see some burn there. Even though I had this 85% shade cloth, still got burn. And it's a Cattleya, can you believe it? Hippie Cattleya, shown this one before. So it's strong. I'm not going to have any, I don't think I'm going to have problems with this one at all. And I know it because you see it quite readily available on my website. It's not especially super fast growing, but when it's available there's a lot of it, so it kind of tells you something about how hardy it is. This is Min Gold, but I've always had problems with this because I bought it as a sick plant. So geez, does it take forever to get going. It sent out this growth, and I think it's this one, or it could be that one. That was the one that had the flowers on it. So it does grow at times. I haven't watered it so much now because it doesn't show any signs of growth, and I notice with Cattleyas, as soon as you start seeing it grow and you see the new roots developing, then you can go ahead and water it. But if you don't see any active growth for a month, then you should back off the watering. Just a little tip there. Sometimes it can be seasonal, sometimes it's just the plant doesn't want to grow at the time. This is Dockerilla linguiforme, which got me worried, you know, is it going to get through summer? Well, being Australia, well, 45 degrees isn't uncommon. It's excruciatingly hot where this plant comes from. and it can get very dry too. Only the humidity will only kick in once the rains come, but it can also adversely get very dry and the humidity will drop right down very low, almost like a semi-desert, and where this comes from. And then when the rains come, the humidity pushes right up again. So not surprisingly that it survived, and it has a new growth that hasn't aborted. There it is right there. It hasn't aborted or anything, it's just slowed down. It'll probably just start resuming growth now that it's cooler. It's an opportunistic plant, just like a cactus. It'll probably know that it's stressed, it won't grow, right? It'll just stop for a minute. Okay, Vanda falcatas. Okay, anything that's crossed with a Vanda falcata or Neophoenicia is a good bet, okay? Because you're going to get cold snaps and everything like that. It doesn't bother Neophoenicia falcata one bit. Doesn't give a damn. If the temperature drops right down and it gets pretty cold and chilly and it gets wet, as long as it dries out straight away after that, it doesn't get affected. Doesn't affect its growth one bit. So, speaking of that, we go over to this is a Rincon stylus crossed with a Vanda falcata. It's called let's see, Vanda stylus. I think Vanda stylus? Yeah, the name slipped me. It's a cross between the two, and it's called Lucernary. Healthy as can be, and even grew. And it's been excruciatingly hot. I mean, when I describe the heat to you, is that you just need to go outside and then you're already sweating. Running down your face, your back's all sweaty and stuck to you, doing nothing. It even wrapped a root around this PVC pipe. So this one, okay, I gave it copious amounts of water, and at times it didn't dry out thoroughly, and I would give it another good water. So, Vanda falcata crosses with Vandas. Vandas crossed with Vanda falcata or Rincon stylus. You want to look into that. And it's a good sized plant, see, as you can see by my hand. And it is freely clumping, so it'll clump towards the base rather than up higher like a Vanda does. It'll produce keikis up here. It produces its keikis down low. So it'll become a big bushy plant with masses of fragrant blooms that are not too bad. The size is about this size, right? And it's kind of a light blue. You can get green ones, which I got coming. I ordered one. So jackpot, Vanda falcata crosses. You want to try some of those. Okay, something that is super hardy is this Dendrobium Gatton Sunray, and it has these two growths coming out of a dead stump. This thing is dead, okay? If I gave it to somebody, they would throw it away because it has no roots on it. These dead, super dead, shriveled up things. The last year, it actually produced like 3 flowers out of this, and it had no roots at all. But it still flowered and it had no growth. And then one whole year and one whole winter later, I'm on the verge of throwing it out because it hasn't done anything, it hasn't grown at all. And I gave it a whole year, and then deja vu, it started to grow again. And not only is it growing, it hasn't rotted and it hasn't died on me. At times I've even given it too much water. And at this particular stage, it's kind of just very, very slightly damp. and it is doing well. So it's just like my friend said, the kind old lady said, the Japanese lady. This thing is a pain. It's so big and grows all the time and takes up too much space. So going by that, it just tells you something. And she has hers, okay? She has all of her cattleyas. She has everything in sphagnum moss and terracotta. And what happens is, hers are like right out in the open. So here's a typical garden, right? They'll be like right out there on plastic tables, and then she just chucks this over the top. Nothing special. When they get wet a lot. When the rain has stopped and you get one stinking hot day like we always do, that hits almost 100 Fahrenheit, they dry right out. And I've even said to her, do you come out and water them? And she says, oh yeah, I do when I can. So she's not like out there checking them all the time. And they grow fine. And the ones that I get from here do really well because, hey, they're in that real tough environment, right? And so these are the orchids, a lot of them ones that I got from here. The ones that I buy, I do a few things. I check how many people are selling it, and then sometimes I ask questions about them. If you see something if you see something really obscure or rare, or well, not rare as in cultivation, but if you don't really see very much of it, you wonder how much it can adapt itself to, grow under the conditions that we provide them. But I'd like to finish off with no bulbophyllums. Okay, all the bulbophyllums couldn't take it anymore. I got one in my bedroom that hangs up by the sunny window, and it's glazed, right? And I didn't get any sun on it. It's like very mild sun, and that one is still alive. It's doing fine, not growing too fast, but I don't know what normal speed is for them. But whatever remained of my bulbophyllums, I have hung them under the trees, mounted. There they do much better because they do not like, ideally, anything over 95 Fahrenheit, and then that's it. And as everybody says, they don't really show that they're dying until they've lost their root system, and then the second phase of the death of a orchid is the bulbs. Okay, bulbs get mushy. So if I come over to this Sigmatellix and I squeeze these are mush. Well, that one's quite firm. And I won't throw it out. I will put it back, because you never know, it might recover, and I don't know how fast they can recover, so I'll give it a chance. Could be a fast recoverer for all I know. Cattleya Uricula's been doing really well for me. It did put up with the high temperatures. It's got very, very thick, hard leaves. And it's growing in sphagnum. I noticed that maybe it's just me and my imagination, but I noticed that it liked the sphagnum and it liked to be a little moist, but not too wet. At the moment it is just barely moist, because we have had a little cooler, not much, it's about maximum of 95 Fahrenheit today. It's going to get about 33, 34 degrees. This is a Rene Marx is it a Epicatlia or a something like that? I keep forgetting the name. I got to put it on there. That one's just growing in bark, and it has a sheath. Yep. Unfortunately, not fragrant. The one I am getting in the post is. This one's not fragrant either. Oh no, wait. Sorry, this is an Epicatlia that's unnamed. We don't know what the name is. Sorry, this is Renee Marks. This one got water, a lot of water. It's just growing in bark, small sized bark. There's no pumice in there. It dries right out in between waterings, but it was getting watered almost every day during that really hot spell, and it's pushed out this whole new growth there. I'm just not going to water it as much because it looks like these canes are getting ready to mature. Maybe it doesn't need as much, so I'll just keep an eye on it. It'll show me if it needs it or not. Okay, to clarify a few points, do Cattleyas like to get water and dry out? Yeah, sure, but who knows? Nobody knows everything, right? So I'm trying to document what I see. So that this blue heaven, Leliocattleya, does get really wet, and it does dry out in between, but not 100%, like 30% moisture will be retained. And it is in bark and pumice and terracotta. It's a very fast grower. I mean, it's the fastest growing orchid I have here besides that Gutton Sunray thing, or the Dendrobium nobilis, and its roots are healthy and everything. And it does get some rainwater. We expect it to have some more rain during the week too. I'll just keep you updated. This is the one that I grew, that I've shown many times. It was a sick Cattleya, mini Cattleya, and it's the most healthiest, fullest orchid I have. So I can put my green thumb back on. All these other things that I have are gifts, or I bought them. I didn't have nothing but trouble. I'm sure that one of my mini Cattleyas has disease, because when it tries to grow new growth, it's stunted and weak. And then the next one is, I don't have any bursts of growth, and it's got spots all over it and stuff. It's down in the garden right away from everything. Where I let it dry right out, and then I give it a good watering, and I'm just monitoring it and seeing what happens with it. And I will show you that too sometime. Okay, so this is an update, evaluation on how these orchids are doing. I have no name, by the way, for this Jumbo Cattleya. Didn't have one. But it has a very large yellow flower that has a pinkish red lip with bright yellow. It's huge. It's as big as my hand, so it's a monster of a thing. And this sheath doesn't seem to have anything inside it. It's empty. It came with a balloon, so your guess is as good as mine. Why doesn't a Cattleya flower? Its conditions are too good, it's treated too good, it's not dried out enough, it's not happy in the pot yet because it's not snug and tight in there and it doesn't want to bloom. Could be that. Needs time to fill out that pot, and that could take quite a lot of time actually, until the point that you got an eye here, right, and another one over here. And there's actually one inside there, and there's probably one bulging out the side of this new cane. So until the time that it wants to put out 2 new growths or 3, you won't see any flowers. So we gotta wait patiently. It's a shame I got this burn, but that wasn't from me, that was from the grower. Now it's got a new burn on top of the burn because of that heat that we had. Okay, these are tough orchids. I recommend them. Anyway, thanks for watching, and we'll get back to you soon. Bye bye.